Alright folks, welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Donfather and I'm going to quickly review the 2020 AFL Grand Final between the Geelong Cats and the Richmond Football Club. Of course, this is the Tigers' second year in a row making the Grand Final, and they'd already won 2 premierships in 3 years. Going into it, I'd predict Geelong for the win because of the way they dismantled the Brisbane Lions in the Gabba the week earlier, and of course Richmond narrowly winning against Port Adelaide. So it had the makings of a classic anyway. So many senior players that have been great servants to this sport playing in this one, particularly Gary Ablett Jr., notably his last game as an AFL player. So huge moment for him personally and the Geelong supporters, and indeed supporters of the sport. So, getting into the game straight away, very low scoring to begin with in the first quarter. Look, a couple of injuries upset the flow of the game. Dangerfield, he's injured a Richmond player. He's got hit in the head and went down unconscious. Gary Ablett Jr.'s went off of what looked like a shoulder injury at the time. So it was like a double injury at one. There was a 5-minute stoppage in play, and that's what upset the sort of flowness of the game. I actually feel that Geelong did start well. First of all, actually, Richmond had put the first 2 goals on the board. The first goal coming in the way of Prestia, opening the scoring, and then they got the second goal. But after that there, I thought Geelong started to play a little bit better. They were more physical in the first quarter. It was a very low scoring first quarter after that, and I put that down to the 2 injuries upsetting the flow of the play. So we came into the second quarter anyway, and Geelong did actually put pressure on Richmond. They were pinning them back, they were physical, they were first to every ball. Richmond didn't like it. They didn't look like a team that was going to go on and do anything in this game. To me personally, I was as much credit as I was giving Geelong, I was actually being quite critical of Richmond, but that was down to the hard work of Geelong off the ball, closing them down, putting them under pressure, playing desperate football, and Richmond weren't getting their handballing game on the go. They were rushing everything, they were being forced into making mistakes, and it was good work by Geelong. They did actually open up a gap. I think it was 35-14 just before the break, however. Dustin Martin, moment of brilliance, individual brilliance before half time to make it 35-20 to Geelong at half time. That was the turning point in the game for me. Dustin Martin, remember that name by the way, as if you're going to forget. But that first goal, that was the moment that swung it for me in the favour of the Tigers. If that hadn't happened before half time, it could have been a different second half. I think that's what inspired them. Richmond needed half time. They needed Dimmer to sit them down and give them calm them the fuck down. They were being rushed, they were making schoolboy errors, they were playing totally un-Richmond like, and Geelong were just all over them at that point. Second half then, third quarter, and it couldn't have been a more different story. Richmond came out with a bang, straight out the traps. I thought they were sensational in the second half. Like I think in the third quarter there was a couple of Myers maybe scored one in the third quarter off memory for Geelong, but that Dustin Martin, he's came in out in the second half same way as he finished the first half. He's been absolutely brilliant in the third and fourth quarter, by the way, I must admit. Jack Rewalt's chipped in with a goal, I believe in this quarter. I've not got all wrote down, I'm just rattling off a couple of the scorers. I think Bolton scored one as well off memory. Castanha's hit one, a long one. But look, the tale of the tide was, it was a game of 2 halves. Geelong were dominant in the first half, and I thought their failure to capitalise in front of goal, Brian Myers was one of them. He's had a goal attempt just at the edge of the 12-yard area. He's 12-metre box. He's put it behind. You know, he's got it. He had time, all the time in the world, just to place it. Dangerfield's chased someone down in that first half, I can't remember who it was, but the ball spilled to Myers. He's had all the time in the world to run it closer to goal, or even just line himself up and place it through. And it's these fine margins that really cost you. And I thought their failure to catch, a couple of other kicks went wayward as well in that first half for Geelong. So these are the moments you have to put the scoring on the board when you've got to score the goals when you have got the pressure on them. You're pinning them back. There's so many inside 50s in your favour. You've got to make those moments count and get the goals up on the board. It's particularly in a grand final. I didn't see, however, this goal rush coming from Richmond. They've absolutely destroyed Geelong really in the second half. Anyway, it finished 81-50 to the Tigers, and I'm saying Dustin Martin's name. I can't say the man's name enough. It's 4 goals he scored, but 4 individual brilliant goals. The upper body strength, the don't argues, the old get the fuck. He's been totally dominant over the men in those particular passages of play where he's absolutely bullied them. He's that burst of pace over 5 to 10 metres to break free of a tackle and then shoot. Most of his goals come from a considerable distance as well. His 4th one, by the way, and I was looking at them again, his 4th one is actually my favourite. He's out on the left-hand boundary line, he's running away from goal, he's got no right to intercept the football to begin with. He's going with his back to goal, he turns, he snaps a shot over his body and he scores. It's got strength, it's got speed, it's got power, it's got intelligence of mind to intercept the ball, and it's got the skill in the finish. It was an incredible goal, and that one really capped off the victory for me, and it was him. He inspired that. For me, he inspired the victory for Richmond. It's down to him. It's down to the team at the end of the day, but it's down to him. It's that goal before half-time to make the score in a 15-point margin within like 3 goals of Geelong at half-time. It was that moment that really turned the game on its head for me. And they just pushed on and on and on from there. So Dustin Martin, he got the Norm Smith medal. That's thrice. He's learned a new word according to Jack Rewall after the game. I've heard he keeps saying thrice, thrice, thrice. 3 times Norm Smith medalist now. Incredible achievement for him. Back-to-back premiers now for Richmond. Absolutely deserve. Huge congratulations for that. Look, it's not easy to win a premiership. It's very difficult to win it back to back, but now it's a dynasty. It's 3 premierships in 4 years, and you know what, you'd fully expect them to be up there again, just with the way that if they make finals football, that's all they need to do. It doesn't matter where they finish in that ladder. If they get themselves into the final, they are gonna have to be favourites for it. It's the way they play in finals. They look inspired. They've been the course, of course, 3 times now in the last 4 years, as I've just said. And their big players step up in these moments. They don't let the occasion beat them. They thrive in it, and it's an incredible thing to see. I'm just going to quickly finish it now on Gary Ablett Jr. I did mention the shoulder injury. Well, it turns out today he's actually got a broken shoulder. That man played on. He came back on after the injury and he played on for the remainder of the game. I think he got a little bit of medical help in the 4th quarter maybe. But he finished it out, and do you know what? He's played on with a broken shoulder. The guy is an absolute warrior, but more than that, an incredibly gifted football player. Dustin Martin alluded to that in his speech when he was collecting his Norm Smith medal, and also Dustin Martin organised like a guard of honour for Gary Ablett Jr. walking off the football field after all the celebrations, after the 2 teams getting their medals, etc., and the trophy being lifted. That's how. If you are loved that much by your peers, that's how much of a fantastic football player you have been. A great servant to the sport, and ultimately an incredible gentleman as well off the field. But look, 2020 Richmond Tigers Premiership winners again. Well done, Richmond Tigers. Commiserations to Geelong. It's been a difficult season for football, but we've had football, and that's the best thing about it. We've had football. We've had something to watch and enjoy over this miserable year. So huge credit has to go to the players and indeed the sport. But particularly, I'm going to put a shout out here now. Not only, like, we've got Western Australia's hosted games, we've had South Australia's hosted games. New South Wales has managed to put on some before they could couldn't do anymore, but ultimately to Queensland. They made it happen. If it wasn't for Queensland hosting so many games there at the Metricon and the Gabba, it might have been a very, very different 2020 for us all. So massive shout out to them as well. Thanks very much for sticking with me through the course of 2020 in terms of AFL videos. I will be doing more reactions. I've got patrons that have got requests that I'm going to fulfill very, very shortly. So thanks very much to all my patrons and new patrons through the 2020 season. It really does mean a lot. It's greatly appreciated. And as I said, I'll get to doing those requests now that I'm not covering live games, etc. I might do the odd live stream and quiz as well through the off season to keep us with a little bit of footy fix. It's not easy. It's not easy, particularly when you've got to watch cricket, and I know how much Aussies like cricket, but not for me. It's a no from me. So I won't be bringing you cricket content, but I'll certainly be bringing you footy content in the off season. Thanks very much, everyone. Stay safe where you are. Have a great summer. I'm going to have an enjoyable winter here. A UK winter is never too good. So have a great summer. You all deserve it, and I'll see you next season. Thanks very much, and goodbye.